Hello everyone, my name is Jasmine de la Torre, and for our Mapping the Gap project, my group and I investigated Visalia Unified School District to better understand the relationship between bilingual education, access, community voice, and education advocacy these schools have in this district. We selected Visalia Unified because it is where we will complete our student teaching placements, so we wanted to learn a little bit more about it, and it also is a district that many of us attended as students. Since we're also preparing to become bilingual educators, we wanted to understand what bilingual education opportunities currently exist and where there are still gaps that affect multilingual students and families, and see what we can do to better support this. For the first part of the project, Sanaya researched the district's bilingual educational programs, and she found that Visalia Unified currently offers Spanish and English dual emergent language immersion programs at Mountain View, Willow Glen Elementary, and these are some of the schools that we're going to be doing student teaching at in this fall. Although these programs are a positive step forward towards bilingualism, there are only a few schools offered in Visalia, meaning many families still face barriers such as transportation, limited enrollment, and waitlists. Moving on to the second part of the project, Jimena analyzed Visalia Unified's Local Control and Accountability Plan, or also known as LCAP. She found that district provides funding and support for English learners through instructional programs, intervention services, and family engagement. However, the LCAP provides limited discussion about explaining dual language immersion programs, showing that there is still a gap between supporting English learners academically and providing border access to bilingual education. Now, for my responsibility of the group project, part 3, I designed our community-facing infographic and wrote the design rationale. My goal was to create something that families could easily understand without needing to know educational terms or district policies, something that just called out their name and you could right away see what was going on. Instead of creating a document filled with technical language, I wanted families to quickly understand the current state of bilingual education in Visalia Unified and feel empowered to become advocates for their children. My group and I made the decision of organizing the infographic together, like parting it in 3 sections of then, now, and what can families do. I chose this layout because I wanted families to see the progress that has been made over time, while also recognizing that more work still needs to be done, like there are still educational gaps. For the first section, the then section reflects the experiences many of us had growing up in Visalia Unified. We attended schools where dual language immersion programs did not exist. Even though many students came from Spanish-speaking households, this section reminds families that bilingual education was not always available. For the now section, it highlights the dual language immersion programs that currently exist within the district. While this does celebrate the progress Visalia Unified has made, it also points out that these programs are still limited to only a few school sites. So that means there are still gaps in the bilingual education. In the last section of the infographic, what families can do section was especially important to add because I wanted the infographic to be more than just informational. I wanted to encourage action. That's why our group included something simple, realistic, something families can partake, such as attending school board meetings, participating in district English learner advisory committee, and advocating for expanded dual language immersion programs throughout all Visalia schools. These are actions that families can actually take to make their voices heard and become partners in improving education opportunities. Another design choice that was especially meaningful was including the statement, Spanish is an asset, not a barrier. This reflects YOSO's community cultural wealth framework, which reminds us that multilingual families already bring valuable language, culture, knowledge, and experiences into our schools. So instead of viewing bilingual students through a deficit perspective, our infographic celebrates their strengths and encourages schools to build upon those strengths. I wanted families to feel proud of their home language and recognize that bilingualism is something to be celebrated, not something students should leave behind when they enter school. Overall, this project showed my group and I that Visalia Unified has made significant progress in expanding bilingual education, but there is still some work to be done to ensure that every multilingual student has access to this opportunity. Completing this project reminded me that being a bilingual educator means much more than teaching students 2 languages. It also means working alongside families, like for example listening to their voices and advocating for equitable education opportunities. As I begin my student teaching this fall in a dual immersion school, I hope to create a classroom where every single student feels valued and celebrated, and where families know their voices matter. Thank you all for watching.